Today I present a case where the opposite is true. There's a clear suspect and possible motive, but proving exactly what took place is less easy. 27 years ago tomorrow, the small coastal transport ship Barbel set off from London with a cargo of rapeseed bound for Rostock in northern Germany. Barbel was a fairly modern ship for the time. Her keel had been laid by Dutch shipbuilders Scheepswerf Damen Gorencham in 1986 and was completed and delivered to owner and Captain Heinrich Telkmann in 1989. A contemporaneous report from the Hamburger Abendblatt newspaper can give a brief overview of the likely events between the final sighting of the Barbel's crew and the discovery of the lone survivor, 28-year-old Russian sailor Andrei Lapin 3 days later. On Sunday, August 15, 1993, 50-year-old Heinrich called his wife, also named Barbel. He named the ship after her, at approximately 7 o'clock, telling her that the ship had reached the mouth of the River Thames, and that he should be back in Germany by that evening. When he did not arrive home, Barbel attempted to call Heinrich on Monday, but there was no response. It was not until 10:45 on Wednesday, August 19th, when Danish fishermen aboard the HG-270 Tannisbugt and HG-271 Normark found two life rafts. One was empty, and the other found by fisherman Soren Larsen contained Lapin. The Barbel itself was found later, and the reason for the lack of communication became clear. On board, there was a great deal of blood about the ship, particularly in the ship's workshop, which someone had attempted to wash away. 3 fires had been started throughout the ship using diesel, but none of them had taken hold. The ship bore traces of fierce flame. The captain's cabin had been ransacked and damaged. The ship's cash machine lay empty on the floor, and pieces of hair, skin, and a scalp fragment were found scattered around the ship. Allegedly, the ship's crane was used to retrieve the dead from below deck to deposit them in the sea. The only trace of any of the missing was a picture of Heinrich and Barbel's daughter left on a desk, until September 14, 1993, when Heinrich's body was found by Dutch fishermen. None of the other missing men have ever been found. Lapin allegedly weighed them down with scrap iron and threw them overboard. Lapin initially refused to get into the rescue helicopter dispatched for him, and was reported to have been totally calm and unworried about his situation, which would be hard to believe considering he had spent at least 2 days adrift in the North Sea hundreds of nautical miles from land. Is it possible that he really had witnessed the events as he said they had occurred and was traumatized as a result? Or was he busy concocting his story when he was found? According to the Abendblatt, Lapin had his duvet, pillows, his former Red Army passport, 6 cans of peaches, some cola and 2 suitcases with papers and documents, as well as 60,000 Deutsche Marks, 2020, 45,423 euros and 20 cents, 41,076 pounds and 43 pence, 53,885 US dollars and 9 cents, in sailors' wages and Heinrich's savings, which Lapin claimed was his own savings, meant to buy a car. Perhaps most damningly, Barbel claimed that Lapin was wearing Heinrich's watch when rescued. But if his motive was robbery, why escalate to 5 counts of murder during a short journey where it would be quickly noticed if you were already confident enough to escape in a life raft? Some of the remaining blood traces aboard the ship contains blood. Lapin's initial story told to the Danish investigators was that he had saved himself from a fire whilst the other crew members were drowning. This later changed to a dispute over pay and working conditions between Heinrich and the sailors. He alleged that 2 mutinous sailors had used an axe to kill Heinrich and 2 other sailors, and threatened him, whereby Lapin killed them both in self-defense. As he feared no one would believe his story, he decided to dispose of all the evidence, and took the money to give to the families of the missing men. Lapin was charged with arson and 5 counts of murder on the August 19, 1993, and deported to Germany from Denmark on December 13, 1993. Lapin's initial trial began on September 5, 1994. He refused to talk to German authorities before his trial, yet turned up to his hearings at Osnabrück District Court smartly dressed, and answered all questions put to him. His story changed again at his trial. Now Lappin and the ship's helmsman had teamed up to investigate what happened to the captain, and upon finding him dead in the ship's workshop after being attacked by the other sailors aboard the ship, Lappin managed to escape, but the helmsman had not been so lucky, as he was caught and killed by a team of mutinous sailors. After witnessing the killers fight with and overpower the chef on deck, Lappin hid at the bottom of a ladder to allow him to pick them off one by one. After dispatching them both with axes, he attempted to dispose of the evidence and then tried to navigate the barbel to shore, but couldn't operate the ship. His first story of a fire breaking out was a lie because he was afraid no one would believe him, and that he was telling the truth this time. On February 3, 1995, Lappin left the courtroom a free man to the lack of evidence against him. He was allowed to keep the 60,000 DM as he now claimed he had made it selling traditional religious Russian icons. On July 30, 1996, the Bundesgerichtshof, German Federal Court of Justice, the highest court dealing with ordinary criminal charges, announced that no further action would be brought against Lappin. The missing crew consisted of engineer Mikhail Mikhailov, sailor Vladislav Bogdan, first mate Viktor Varenko and chef Anatoly Smolajak. Their families still have not had closure to this day. However, even if we presume that Lappin was lying about acting in self-defense, there are numerous issues around the case. The timings of the ship's intended journey time, Sunday morning to evening, and the fact that Heinrich did not answer Barbel's call on Monday, means that whatever happened to the crew probably took place on Sunday, August 15th. According to Danish investigators, almost certainly within 48 hours of the ship departing London. Although it seems most likely that Lappin was responsible for both the disappearances of Heinrich and the crew, as well as the attempted arson, this timeline for his plan makes little sense. Why take on 5 other sailors and the captain of the ship when the ship has barely left port, rather than waiting until the ship was nearer the destination? Given that Lappin was hired on the August 9th, why not rob the ship while it waited at London between the 10th and 15th and escape with the cash then? Lappin almost certainly lied about taking the money to give to the families as he kept it, but that doesn't mean he killed 5 other men to get hold of it. It should be noted that Lappin came from Kaliningrad, a small Russian exclave on the Baltic Sea bordering Poland and Lithuania, so it's possible that he thought he could sail the ship through the North Sea, through the Danish Straits and closer to home with no training. Although he claimed in court that he tried to navigate the ship, surely it would make sense to learn to sail a ship of Barbel's size before trying it. Even if that was Lappin's plan, it would rely on him being able to kill 5 men without one of them fighting back enough to injure or kill Lappin and prevent him from escaping. Regardless of what actually happened that fateful August, the exact series of events and the reasons behind them remain a mystery today. After his acquittal, Lappin applied for a job on the Barbel through Heinrich's wife, who now owned the ship. He did not get the job. Reporters with Danish radio later tracked down Lappin in Russia in 2009. In what may seem a fitting end for a story where little makes sense, he found work as a middle manager at a sea rescue station. The Barbel itself still operates today, under various names and owners since 1993. With Lappin the only survivor, the ship itself is the sole other witness. With neither able or willing to talk, what exactly happened that summer will probably never be known, and will almost never make total sense. What do you think took place that weekend in the North Sea?